where you can just kind of go through your process on your own quietly. And, that's all you can ask for as an older player in the league and someone who's been around for a long time and just enjoys that time to yourself, to just relax, to not be bothered, to not have any obligations or anything going on. And, I think that's what this offseason has been about. It's been about really enjoying my time and spending it where I want to spend it and not feeling like I have to go anywhere, not having any responsibilities, but still being an NFL player at the same time. It's been great.
Brandon, what did you make of Rodgers sporting a shirt that says, quote, "I'm offended"? Also had an emoji on it.
Right. Well, let's give a little bit of background, right? A couple weeks ago, Mark Murphy, the CEO of the Green Bay Packers, did a press conference and said that, this situation is dividing the fan base. He also said that Aaron Rodgers is a complicated fella. Well, you probably made the situation worse because now you got Aaron Rodgers digging a little bit deeper and saying, you know what, enough's enough. So, we all been in these situations on Zoom calls where we're trying to get our angles right. Do you not think that he told them, yo, make sure you get this "I'm offended" shirt right here, this little caption right here? Absolutely. There's millions of people going to tune in and watch this little soundbite, and you don't have to say anything because your shirt say everything. Mark Murphy, what are you doing, bro?
I'll give you a take.
Right.
Until he wears Anthony Davis's "That's All, Folks" shirt, he's headed back to Packers camp. Hey, we're moving on to Brooklyn. Steven Jackson joining us now, illustrious host of All the Smoke. Talking last night's Game 5, Kevin Durant performance for the ages, 49 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists, triple-double, total masterpiece. Stack, what was your reaction to Kevin Durant's historic game last night?
Big players step up in big games. Big players step up in big games. You wonder why all the basketball players always speak highly of KD, because he's a unicorn. Him and Giannis is both 7-foot guys, but Giannis cannot do what KD does. And that's just what it is. He's different. You've never seen nothing like it. And he showed up last night. Big players step up in big games. The team as a whole has been struggling. And let me tell y'all something, too, that y'all might not know. Guys can make threes in the regular season. When it comes to the playoffs, some of your best shooters in the world that y'all love cannot make shots in the playoffs. But big players step up in big games, and that's what KD did. I'm not surprised at what he did. Shout out to Jeff Green for stepping up when the other guys that's been struggling all year, all postseason. But KD is who he say he is. Y'all, like he said, y'all know who I am, and he showed the world last night.
All right, let's just some housekeeping stuff real quick. Why you only have 135 pounds on the bench behind you? I'm a little distracted. Is that your garage? Is that your closet? What's going on? What's going on?
Let me tell you, this is actually my closet, but I have a torn labrum, so I haven't touched this thing in I don't know how long.
But why would you have a bench in your closet? But anyways, look,
He's not a football player. Okay. Let's stay focused.
Well, here's the deal. Look, listen, Stack, you said it big. Right. Big players step up in big games, and we talked about that. We all believe that KD could potentially get you one game, right? But the odds is stacked against him. The Bucks are a better team given this situation with James Harden. We didn't expect him to play. Kyrie Irving twists his ankle. And yeah, we expected him to go out there and have a big game. A lot of us said that for them to win, he has to drop 45, 50 points, and he absolutely did that. These are the type of games when everybody know that you're the only way that this team can win, that you're going to take every damn shot, and you go out there and you still produce. This takes you from superstar status to Mount Rushmore superstar status. KD is going to look back on this moment, and we're all going to look back on this moment, Nick, a couple years from now, and possibly say, depending on how this thing ends, if they can make it through this series, because it ain't over yet, and they can potentially win it all, we can look back and say, oh, that was the moment. Like, this was a big-time game. Like, he had no chance. I wonder what Vegas had. You probably know that the probability of them winning this game the way it was.
They weren't that huge. So going into the game, they were only 3-point dogs. But at halftime, it was a 10-1 shot. At halftime, it was a 10-1 shot. Probably if Vegas hadn't computed in the Mike Budenholzer factor, would have made it about a coin flip. But we'll discuss that later.
Goodness,
Kevin Durant. On Kevin Durant, Stack, it's the best game of his career. And the only thing that even comes close was Game 3 of his second title with the Warriors. He had 43 points. He had another dagger 3 to ice the series, essentially, the way he did in the first finals against the Cavs. He had a couple marvelous games his last year with the Warriors against the Clippers in round 1, but it was an overmatched team. He played basically a perfect basketball game. And when Brandon talks about Mount Rushmore, the Mount Rushmore of wings in the league up to this point is LeBron, Jordan, Kobe, and Bird. Kevin Durant is doing his damnedest to elbow Bird off that, and he's coming for Kobe next. Like, that is a real possibility what we could see over the next decade. I don't know. I don't know why you're shaking your head, Stack. It's not a shot at any. My point is, when you're talking about Brandon said the Mount Rushmore, he is moving himself up the list, but with a performance like this. But what I want to get your take on is this, Stack. Because yes. I think this is what basketball fans, in a weird way, this is why basketball fans were mad at KD previously for being on these awesome teams, because you want to see the overmatched superhero. Like, you want to see the guy who is outgunned say, you know what, I can do this even though the second, third, and fourth best players on the court are on the other team. And he hadn't been in a position where he was asked to do this for so long that now I feel like for him to be able to immediately tap into it, when it's not like he was asked to do this all year, hadn't been asked to do this for years, I think shows what it's always been there. He just hasn't had to go to it, which to me makes it even more special, if that makes sense.
I got to disagree with you. LeBron's been on super teams too. So, I mean, I don't think that has nothing to do with it, man. It's about winning and losing and putting yourself in position to win. You don't want to be one of those players that was good that didn't win a championship. You know what I mean? And that's probably his whole thinking. It has nothing to do with him going to Golden State. It has nothing to do with him being in Brooklyn, just like it had nothing to do with the three big players LeBron had in Miami. They're both still great, regardless where they play at.
Stack, maybe I'm communicating it poorly. Don't you think when you mention LeBron, talk about LeBron, one of the series people hold in the highest regard is the first finals against Golden State? He lost that series. But it was like, okay, it's one guy against this great team. Let's see what he can do. And the fact that they even took it 6 games, like, added to LeBron's legend. If Giannis hadn't fumbled that ball at the end, say he picked it up, dunked it, and they win in overtime, that would have taken nothing away to me from what Durant did. It was a brilliant performance by one of the greatest players the league's ever seen when their only path to victory was him doing this. If he'd have scored 40, they lose by double digits. Like, that's the point I'm making, is that sometimes when a guy, there's Jeff Green's his second best teammate last night, as the way it played out. That makes it more special because he had no one else he could rely on. The whole stadium knew KD was going to have to shoot almost every time in the fourth quarter, and he did it, and they couldn't stop it.
Well, I mean, he lose that game last night. I don't even want to talk about the 50-point game because it's about winning. He lose that game. We're not having the same conversation. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all because they lost the game and they're going back to Milwaukee facing a season-ending game. What it comes down to is people are not talking about this. Middleton is the most talented player on their team. Let's just keep it real. He can do the most. Giannis is shooting 41% from the line. Ooh. Giannis is shooting 41% from the line. His game is limited, right? His game is super limited. He's a great athlete. He's better than me. He's better than all of us. But Middleton is the most talented person on their team. You can't really take anything away from him because he can do it all. Giannis, all you got to do is send him to the free throw line and put him in a comfortable position, because if you're shooting 41% and you're the best player on your team, it's going to be hard to win on the road. And this tells a lot of things about all the teams in the playoffs. A lot of teams can win at home, but how many teams can win on the road? And that's what's going to separate all these teams in the playoffs. Which teams can win on the road?
All right, so I want to dig into the Giannis part a little bit, Stack.